Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Michael Camo. I'm director of content for T3 Live. I'm here with Scott Redler. We're going to talk about all the fun stuff going on in the market today, including the most important topic. Did we just top out? We're also going to get into Nvidia, SMCI, AMD, Apple, gold, all the other fun stuff going on in the market today. And if you want to, really quick, here's Scott's positions. These are live just as of a few minutes ago. So yes, Scott is really trading, and you could see what he's in right now. So look, Scott, let's start with the elephant in the room. Nvidia, obviously the star of the market. Now you sent this tweet out at 11 a.m. basically saying the top is in. So what was your thinking with Nvidia here?
Well, it's been something I've been so hyper focused on. It's been the the bread and butter of the market, the heartbeat of the market, and I've been doing it playing. I've been playing it really well. Sometimes I write better than I trade. Sometimes I trade better than I write. But I've been doing a damn good job with Nvidia for the Alpha team. Made a lot of money in the last week or so, and I kind of was feeling like I was going to thread the needle. I came in long, some lotto calls, the 950s, 975s. I bought them yesterday. The 950s were like $3. I was selling them $10 to $14. It was a great play. And then at the 975s, I bought it $1.50, just like lotto plays. You go to 7-Eleven, I get my 6 bag of ice, and I play the $250 million, lottos. I don't expect to win it, but anyway, I did it, and it was great. And then I'm like, you know what? We're going to thread the needle the way we did with SMCI, where if we can get to 970 to 985, I'm going to start shorting the 1010s, the 1020 calls, because even if we get to 1,000, it's so hard to be sustained. It's had such a big move. The RSI was so high, and then PS, it felt like the fever broke a little bit. So when it was at 955 after hitting 976, I didn't want people to get so comfortable. I'm just like, that's probably the high of the day. I was out of every long that I had in Nvidia. I've been long it all week in lots of different ways. And I was also short some premium. And then from there, I could have done really much better shorting it. I was short premium, but PS, it wound up going down to 870, and that's what brought the market in.
Okay, Scott. So let's talk a little bit in terms of strategy. Why did you short calls? Why not just short the stock or buy puts?
I ask myself that sometimes as well. Because I'm at 955, I'm like, it touched there, went to 962. I'm like, guys, if the sellers are going to be that good, it's going to reject price and it's going to break 955 and probably go red. Those are my exact words. And it did. So I was shorting premium for 85 cents, $1. And it just felt like I was like, there's no way it's going to get there. It felt very easy. The harder trade was to short it there, and I just didn't do it. But it was good to be out of the way, good to be out of the long, and you got to do what you want. And I probably should have shorted it there. And there were some who did, and some were talking about buying the $900 puts right around 955 for next Friday, and they scored. We did the same thing with SMCI like 2 Fridays ago, I think. Might have been 3, it was 2, I don't know exactly. But PS, I could feel it. I could smell it when we're getting close to one of those type of trades. And there are guys that have been fighting it for days. I'm typically there within, a few hours. So that's why a lot of people come to the Alpha team, and they're part of our whole process here. But anyway, I did well, and I could always do better. I'm a work in progress also, just like everyone out there. And all I want to do is add some value, and I just want to evolve and become a better version of myself, because that's what we try and do.
Okay, can we get a quick roll call out there? Because I think we have the biggest audience we've ever had on one of these live streams. And now there's almost 800 people here. We see It's from Richfield, Connecticut. We see Tob out there. So everybody in the audience, type in the comments, where are you listening in from? Yeah, and It's pointed out the...
Okay, by the way, just let you guys know, I have something wrong with one of my computers, because I'm sitting here in Short Hills. We have no tech people here. I'm very pissed off about it. Excuse my French. So I have to look up to see you guys, and I have one of my screens up, and I just shorted the SPYs into this ramp up, and I'm just trying to figure it all out. So excuse me for not being as captivated by everyone here. But again, I am a trader by nature, and I'm working on my quarter, which has been a fantastic quarter, and I'm trying to thread the needle here. But anyway, I love you guys. Cheers.
Okay, yeah. So we have Lorenzo, we have Jason, we have Todd from Dallas, Bob from Detroit, Scotty from Red Bank, New Jersey, Ryan from Chicago, Illinois, Scottsdale, Italy, Arizona, Spike Week in Daytona. Yeah, so we have a big full crowd. So Scott, let's get to the big question. We were talking about this offline. We had this big reaction to the jobs report this morning. Is the top in? I need a yes or no, Mr. Redler. The people out there demand clarity. Yes or no, Scott?
How about this? Look at me. Look right in my eyes. I will say today's high is the high for March. It's March 8th. That's a pretty big call. We've been making higher highs every few weeks. Today's high in the S&P cash, you could beat the living cajoles out of me. Today's the high for March. And it might be for April. That's what I'm calling. So for me, obviously Apple had a great day today. They sold some winners and they started to buy Google and Apple. And that's why I said this week is a weird week. You've had some breakdown in the Mag 7. You had some excitement in the the AI semis, but like we're in one of those transitions where it's hard to figure out what's next. But I will say I think the S&P cash, I'll say it. I'm going to say it. You guys want to beat the hell out of me in the next 3 weeks? I'm usually 9 out of 10 times right with this. That today's high in the S&P cash, I think, is the high for March and maybe April. Document it, timestamp it. But then how are you going to make money with it is the most important factor. Not me being a talking head chief strategist, but me just saying what I think, because I always say what I think. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. If I'm wrong, I don't get louder. I just admit it and I move on.
Okay, we are up to about 1,100 people watching.
Meanwhile, Michael, by the way, my computer system is so weird that when you want to do charts, you need to do them because I can't do the charts.
We're gonna just download information directly from your brain. The insights people need to know. Okay, we're up to almost 1,200 people now. Okay, so are you reading anything into like the individual stock action, especially SMCI, which it went nuts this morning, and then it made it another new higher high, and now it is come back down. So like, are you putting any emphasis on action like that? That's sort of like climactic top and then collapse in SMCI.
Not really SMCI. I've been focused on Nvidia. I watch SMCI, I watch AMD, I watch Avago, I watch RBL, I watch all of them. The Nvidia is like the friggin' lion. It's the ruler of the jungle. And SMCI, you know what the SMCI did for me? It made Nvidia feel calm, because that's how hard it is to trade SMCI. It's good to be able to trade levels, and a lot of guys are doing it, but you can't do anything else if you're trading SMCI. So I trade Nvidia, and Nvidia was my biggest P&L winner for the past few weeks. Probably if you would dissect it, you get the compliance department to say what's Red Dog's biggest winner for the first quarter of this year, it was Nvidia. And today I really felt it. I was like, you know what? It's going to push through. I was hoping it would go closer to 1,000 because I wanted to short the bejesus out of the premium higher, and it only went to like 974. So when it had that pullback, I'm like, you know what? The fever just broke. I felt it when it happened with SMCI, and that's when I tweeted it, just saying I think the high is in. So you could use that information for whatever you want. Some people are like, I'm shorting it versus high. Some like, I'm selling calls. Some like, I'm buying puts. You could have done whatever you wanted, and now Nvidia is at 885, like 70 points lower, and I try and add value where I can, but I'm not going to do it for you. I'm not going to spoon feed you everything. I'm not going to. I throw bones in the goddamn the doghouse. But I just want you guys to learn, because if God forbid I got ran over by a bus, then you're on your own. So I want you guys to learn and figure out how to conduct yourself with the market. So if I'm not here, you could do it, but I do throw out thoughts, and then with those thoughts, you can convert it usually into dollar signs. And right now, SMCI also had a reversal. AMD had a reversal. Nvidia had a reversal. So what that means is at least it's going to take time to rebuild. How it rebuilds, we'll see. Even the SPYs, I think it's going to take some time to rebuild. The question is how far and how long. And I do think today's high, with the way I've seen a lot of the stocks and the leaders and the sectors react, I would think that today's high should be a high for a few weeks.
Okay, guys, let us know. So we're up to Scott. We're up to over 1,400 people watching live right now. So everybody, let us know in the audience what has been your best trade of the last week. Is it Nvidia, SMCI? Let us know. Type the ticker in the chat of your best stock this week. So Scott, I remember I'm feeling big parallels to 2020 because I feel like Tesla was your like number one that you couldn't stop talking about, and now Tesla is sort of the ugly girl at the dance, as Paulie Walnuts would say.
Not very nice, but she has good personality.
Paulie Walnuts said it. I did not say it. He said it on The Sopranos. I did not say that. So so I guess how does it feel that Nvidia is sort of the star of the show right now?
Listen, leadership changes, the narrative changes, the heartbeat changes. I remember a bunch of years ago, I was like, "Oh, Red Dog, you're the Apple trader." Then I was a Tesla trader, and literally, I've been with Nvidia. Like, I had my best week this week, and I did the least amount with the least amount of positions because I was all over Nvidia. It traded with the momentum rules. It held the 8-day. You could have bought support, bought it inside day, traded it through higher, sell some, buy some, play options, and it was great. That's what I did with Tesla like 2 years ago. I think it was May. I don't know if it was last May or the May before, and then it broke. Like, Tesla broke. Like, even today, this morning, I was sitting at my desk this morning. Everyone's like, "Red Dog, Tesla." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, look at it. It was up 2, and the futures weren't going. And then it was up 2.5. Then it was up 3. Like, you're gonna miss it. I'm like, I don't care. The PS, it went up 4, and now it's down 2, and it's broken. Broken stocks take a long time to rebuild. Apple's kind of broken right now. I was an Apple trader. Yeah, today was a great day. Now we'll see if today's day 1 turns into an active sequence. I was in Google a lot prior to numbers, and then it broke, and now it's acting a little bit better. Microsoft's in the middle. I would have thought Amazon could have acted better today. It didn't. But you know what? It's like, Who Moved My Cheese? If you want to read the book, Who Moved My Cheese, it's a very good book. It's about, things change, and you have to change and evolve. And although every time frame of the market changes, and there's always something leading the tape, and if you find the keys to the tape, you can know how to manage your process. So as of right now, it is a little bit of Nvidia and the AI semis, and right now they kind of broke, but money rotated back to the Mag 7 that has been a little bit out of play. So all in all, market's not falling apart. So we'll see how it goes from here.
Okay, so everybody's posting what they've been trading and doing well, and so we have the stocks, we have GLD, Apple's in there, Palantir, CrowdStrike, Bitcoin.
Palantir's been great. Bitcoin's been
Coinbase, IBP. So Scott, do you think we are entering a new Scott Redler entry in the Scott Redler dictionary? Because if we're talking about moving the cheese, like the market's cheese, used to be Apple, used to be Tesla, now it's Nvidia.
I don't want to say that now because it feels like it might have just peaked today. To be honest, I feel like Nvidia peaked today. It's going to take time to work it off. It's not saying it's over, but it peaked. I like to get in there when it's the nuts and bolts. I like to get there the day after earnings in Nvidia. We were buying it at 776 when it held, and now at 974. I don't want to be like saying, "Oh, now Nvidia is the most important," because the money's been made. So we're trying to figure out right now what's the new. We talking, Mike. We talking active sequences. You know that, like bullish, active. Active sequences, bullish or bearish, and we rotate. If you remember, 3 weeks ago we made a lot of money in the IWM. 2 weeks ago we made a lot of money in the XBI. Then we made money in Bitcoin and Mara and those guys. Then we've been trading Nvidia the whole time. We've been picking and choosing mega names from Amazon or Meta or Microsoft was decent, and so we're just moving around. But at some point, if the market peaked, we're going to have to just take a step back and do low gross, low net. I'm in a little bit of a low gross, low net camp right now because to me, it feels like I don't want to get caught. We just had a really good 2-month run. And I'll be honest, the fourth quarter of 2023, I was down a lot of money from, some decent, some bad choices, some predatory moves in the market, some situations that were out of my control, and now I'm in a very good spot. So I just want to make sure that I'm in a good frame of mind moving forward. And at this point, I don't know exactly. Like the metals, gold just had a big move. Can silver catch up? I think so. Bitcoin just hit 69,000. Do I think it needs to pause here and at some point it gets above and goes to 100? I don't know how long it's going to take. Today it felt like the peak in Nvidia. How long is it going to take to rebuild? Apple finally quit a bid. Does that mean it's going to be better? I don't know. So I want to be flexible. I'm not going to try and be like the smartest guy in the room, because those that act that way usually aren't even traders. They're just talking a big game because they think that's what makes themselves look good. At this point, I just want to make money, and I want to make sure everyone's safe and sound. And I think you have to be very neutral right here. It's a very neutral spot. S&P went to 5187. My target was 5100, and I'm not going to move up my target. Not that who cares about my target anyway. I'm not like this friggin' big wig with. I did some chart work. So at this point, I'm going to go day by day, week by week. And at this point, I think you should be neutral, and that's how I'm going to go about it. And it'll be very specific, which it's been specific this week.
Okay, Scott, so let's talk about your actual positioning right now, because we showed the disclosure slide before, and guys, this is what people see live in the VTF. So it looks like...
By the way, I just shorted a lot of spies into this ramp up, and I just covered some, thank goodness, from the lows to here. But anyway...
Imagine if the CNBC people would trade live while they're on TV. So guys, I hope you see this. This is something unique. Our guys will actually trade live while they're streaming. So it looks, so right now, silver is basically your only equity long, and then you have a bunch of options there. So does this just reflect how you feel overall about the market?
Yeah, and 2 days ago, I was long Nvidia also, and Nvidia went 100 points. I made a lot of money. Last week when we did this, I was long Amazon. I was long probably 12 positions. 2 weeks before that, I was long 14 positions. A week before that, I was in 16 positions. So that tells you how I'm losing special names. You only, as an active trader, want to be in things that are acting special. You don't have to be in them if they're not. You could trade them. So when they're acting special and the market's making you money and you're going to get paid in March or for the quarter, you only want to be in those. When they're not acting special, they can take money away from you. You're not in them. So I am in so much less right now, and I feel great. And some people are like, right, dog, well, what do you mean? You're going to day trade? You a day trader? I'm like, I trade intraday. That's when the market's open. Day trading. I've done that so many times with guys on TV. Like, wait, you're a prop trader? You trade during the day? I'm like, well, don't your hedge fund guys that have billion-dollar hedge funds? That's when they execute their orders intraday. So they're not day traders, or are they day traders? Like, you want to classify me as an active day trader? Or day up? Yes, that's what I do, and put me up against anyone else, anywhere, in any arena, and I'll freaking take them out, or I'll at least be safe, and I'll add value. So anyway, I'm not going to get into that. The bottom line is, I am very light right now, and I feel fine about it. And you should feel fine about it too. Cash is a position at times. The blood on the street account, which my wife's account, which we've spoken about that, it's in cash. Like, Red Dog, you sold it, and it's out. I'm like, I don't care. I only go into that account at certain points. I have a 401k, she's a 403b and a 529. Those are long-term accounts. That's for a specific purpose. My swing account is a specific purpose. My active account is to take advantage of the morning volatility. My option account is to take advantage of things that I think could happen, but I don't know, in binary events. So all these things happen at one point, and you have to figure out how to do it. We are all little PMs. We're portfolio managers of our own world. You can't be just a day trader anymore. I'm sorry, it just doesn't happen. Those guys are algorithmic, black box traders. We are smarter. I think if you're prepared enough, like I try and do, you could be ahead of the game. You could have multiple plans and execute when the market, executes what you're thinking. And at this point, I am careful. I'm careful. I've been aggressive, and now I'm careful. And that's that.
Okay, aggressive and careful. Guys, we're going to have a very quick commercial break before we get back to the Q&A. If you want to get Scott's free newsletter on Monday, it's 100% free, and it gives you actual real trading insights, like he's talked about Nvidia in it, SMCI, gold, IWM. Yes, it's a free newsletter with real analysis and ideas you can use. Go to t3live.com/show, t3live.com/show. So Scott, you often talk a lot about timeframes. What is your time frame now for decision making? Because it's like you said, you're pretty light. How far ahead are you thinking out, or is it just day by day now?
Well, it depends what you're thinking about. Like gold. Gold was a major move this week. Went up 6 days, 7 days. I was on with Leaks Claimant. We talked about it. And I said, actively, it's breaking out. So we played it. I did a call spread and made really good money. But I'm like, today, even today, like around an hour ago, I sent out a tweet. I'm like, guys, this is not a spot to enter gold. If anything, you could probably do a cute short. And it pulled back a bit. I'm like, but ultimately, I think gold goes to 2,500. It's going to take a few weeks and months, and that's the monthly chart. So, but when you have a daily chart, a weekly chart, and a monthly chart all line up with whatever it is, that's when you have to go to tier 3. 1, 2, 3. Tier 3, freaking go after it and make a lot of money, and then you peace out, and then you figure it out. So if gold is one of those situations where, when GLD was, it was like 188, that was your time to go after it. Now at 201.50 is your time to reduce, and chances are it needs a little bit of time, and then it'll probably go again. And then we talked about silver. Silver is lagging. I still like silver, but I'm just saying I live off my daily charts. That's where I come up with my morning note. That's where I come up with a lot of my strategies. And then intraday, I manage my trade with 5, 15, 30, 60-minute charts. And then every now and then, when you get a weekly and a monthly chart to match up to your daily chart, that's when you have to really swing the bat a lot harder. And I like Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter is one of the guys I love. He's a friggin' on base percentage. He just did a lot of things right. He wasn't Reggie Jackson, who would either hit a home run or strike out. And I like Reggie Jackson too. I like to be a guy that gets on base a lot, feel good, not work too, not like always need the big moves. I just want a high on base percentage. So that use daily charts, intraday charts, and when the weekly and the monthlies line up, just make sure you put a little bit more money to work, because that doesn't happen often.
Okay, so since you think gold can make this big move, do you think that means, rather, can gold get there without some kind of market disaster?
Well, gold is at an all-time high, and there's been no market disaster, so I'm not sure. Listen, I'm not like this fundamental gold bug, and I'm not saying it's not going to end well and the world's got to, be in trouble for gold. I just think the asset's been working. I remember when I was on, Mike, you saw this, when I was on with Mark Haynes back in the day. God bless his soul, he passed away. When gold was at 850, I was on CNBC, and I told him, he was sick of being a technical analysis. He's like, I don't care about if this, then that. He's like, I want a call. I'm like, you know what, Mark? I have a bold gold call for you. This is a true story. Google Scott Redler, Mark Haynes, CNBC, gold bold call. Gold was 850, and Erin Burnett was on CNBC, and they're like, what's your call? I'm like, gold's gonna get to $1,500 an ounce, and it was at 870. He's like, oh, what are you saying? I'm like, the world's gonna end. I'm like, no. And I went through this whole thing, and then even more funny, that was at like 9:15. That was during the Squawk Box, and then 2 o'clock, Erin had her own show, and she had Dennis Gartman on, who was like the commodities king. I was a snot-nosed little kid wearing my suit, making a name for myself. And Erin says, so I had Scott Redler on 9:15 today, and he said gold's going to $1,500 an ounce. He laughed at me. He's like, if Scott Redler thinks gold's going to $1,500 an ounce, he doesn't believe in the American way of life. He said that on national TV. Same way Dave Portnoy and I said, suck my you-know-what, which I won't say on TV, but anyway. And P.S. And then at 1,200, he got bullish on gold. And I was like, I won't do that again. So you can Google it. It's all live. It's all in some computers somewhere with CNBC. But P.S., I don't know. You're saying, do I think if gold has to go to 2,400, does that mean the world's going to end? It doesn't. It's an asset that's working. People are pissed off that we have 300 trillion in debt, that every 100 days we add probably a half of market cap of Nvidia, which Mike, you did a lot of that homework, and it's true. So at this point, I would take it trade by trade. This was a great, big, awesome week breakout in gold. I would sell it here, not add to it. Then hopefully when it consolidates, silver plays some catch up and silver makes a good move. And then at some point, I do think Bitcoin, which didn't do it today, breaks above 69. And then who knows where it goes, because there's nothing to the left.
Okay, guys, let us know in the chat if you have been trading gold or silver. Just type a yes in the chat if you've been trading gold. Type a
Oh, look.
no. If sorry, go on, Scott.
No, I'm just taking a look to the right. First of all, Tony, I love Tony Wallace. He was at this financial festival. He's a teacher. He's so consistent. It's is there every day. Joe, I've seen you so many times. Cobblestone, Apollos. You guys are, you guys use your resources. What I will say is, if you're watching this after, use your resources. There's so many great people on Twitter that really have skin in the game. They work for a living. They get paid monthly and quarterly. Don't be looking at the TV sets who play, people on, traders on TV. I'm not making fun of them because I don't like to make fun of anyone. I'm on TV twice a month. I'm in the media. I'm a publicist. I do nothing of that. All I know is I have a note. I send it out to all the media. So keep them in tune of what's happening. And then every now and then, like, all right, we'll get you on TV because we feel like we owe you that because you're keeping us in the game. But for you guys are making it happen. And I appreciate it. It's not easy. I've been doing this since 1997. It's 2024. I can't even do the math right now of how many years that's been. But it's not because we're flipping coins. It's not because we're guessing. It's not because we're wishing. It's not because we're praying. It's not because we're in a sauna. It's because we're sweating. When you sweat, luck happens because if you sweat, you're working, and we work. That's what we do here. We work to be prepared so we can execute with confidence and stay in the game. And that's what I try and breed in all of you that follow me on Twitter and with T3. And that's what we do here. And for those who are a flash in the pan and just think who they are because of a name, I get pissed off, and I'll tell you that straight up. And it's not, I'm not going to get into it. Not getting into it. But anyway, how you guys doing? Mike, let's go back to them, not to me. I'm back.
Let's talk. Everybody out there, did you have fun trading this week? Did you actually have a good? I didn't have a good time trading this week, but I want to know, did everybody out there? Did you guys have a good time today?
I had a good time trading this week.
Okay, so Scott, so you talked about, you talk often about feeding the brain on the weekend. Now, it looks like you're going into the weekend pretty flattish. What are you going to be doing this weekend to sort of get your mind right for Monday?
Well, my son Chase, who's transitioning between varsity basketball, which thank you for everyone watching. He was a freshman playing varsity. They lost in the state sectional. He had a great time. He's going lacrosse. He's actually is taking a lifeguard course so he can be lifeguard certified because we both took CPR together. So anyway, so he's got a lot of stuff going on. My wife, I don't even really know what she's doing. She's in the city with her friends today. I'm working today. I go in the ice barrel every day. I work out every day. What I'll probably do is my friend Vlad, if you're watching, he's the one that took me to Ukraine 4 times. He has a really cool setup in his backyard. He's got a big sauna barrel. He's got an ice barrel also, and he's got a lot of friends from Eastern Europe that are in his CrossFit gym. So they go there a lot, and they like me to go and tell them stories about how I won the Ukrainian, world record being in an ice barrel for 10 minutes at minus 32 degrees. But anyway, that's because I did the Escape from Alcatraz triathlon way back when. So what am I going to do this weekend? I might relax. I'm going to take my dog for a 2-hour run in the reservation. I might get a massage. I might go to my friend Vlad's. It's an easy weekend. And then lacrosse starts, and then things get crazy all over again. Basketball season's over. This weekend's a nice weekend. I visited my mom a few weekends ago, so I have to figure out when I'm going to visit her again, but it's not this weekend. So this weekend is a nice, relaxed weekend, but I want to make sure that I'll stay on top of things. And at this point, I don't have a lot of FOMO. FOMO is good. Sometimes I go into the weekend, I'm like, I don't want to miss this. I don't want to miss that. This weekend, I'm like, you know what? I feel like we might have peaked. We took advantage of a lot of the great situations out there. And sometimes I'm upset because I feel like I didn't. The last few weeks, we really did. So if you did that with me and you're part of the Alpha team and you're watching this, take a little deep breath, like gratitude. Like you have to have gratitude. Like, be happy with what they say is, what's under your feet. You can't always just look at what's in the future. And if you want to change the future, you have to envision it, because the past is like ingrained in your head. Listen to this all the time. The past is what you've seen. And in order to get to the future, you have to envision it and ingrain it in your head. And how do you do that? You change your behavior. And this morning in the ice barrel, I'm like, guys, say it's my fault. Some people are like, oh, the market sucks. The market down. Say it's did you short the market too much? Did you not rotate? Did you not stay with winners long enough? Did you not honor stops? Did you try things too much? So once you admit to your mistakes, then sometimes you don't make those mistakes and you start doing better. And these are all things that we all do, and we're all evolving, and that's how what we have to do is evolve. Otherwise, you're left behind.
Okay, Scott, do you have a few minutes to take some questions from our friends out in the audience?
Of course.
Okay, so here's a great one. So how do you deal with all these news events when you're in swing positions? And guys, if you have questions, load up the chat. We have Scott for a few more minutes. So if you have questions, put them in there now. So again, how do you deal with all these?
I just want to say hello to Joseph. Joseph is he's a veteran. He knows his stuff, and like he's a very big conspiracy guy. Like how the data comes out and this and that. We argue sometimes, but we see eye to eye. I want to give him a shout out because Joseph in the comments right now, he is a true, he loves America and he works hard and he tries to help the greater good. I'm giving you a full-fledged shout out. You're the man. Try to help the dogs every day. Yes, you do. I don't know. What was your question, Mikey?
Okay, so Scott, so how do you deal with all these news events when you're in swing positions?
Well, some are just noise, to be honest. It's like, blah, blah, blah. Today, the jobs report wasn't noise, but guess what? Yesterday, the market did a move prior to the jobs report. So it kind of helped you get out of some positions, whereas you had to really believe in the position if you were going to stick with it today. And it gave you a way out of it today because you had to push through above a level and then you didn't hold it. So the same thing, news events are news events. Everyone creates narratives around, the action, but the bottom line is we've gone a long way. And really, Nvidia was the FOMO of the market, and today the fever broke. Doesn't mean it's over, but the same way SMCI, the fever broke. It was off for a few days. You had some money rotate. When there's a huge like news event, I try to be in more options where I risk is premium paid versus in harm's way because I never want to give back too much money I made by trading, by a binary event. When you have a binary event, I use the options, risk is premium paid. I never sell naked into a binary event. And some events are more hyped up than others. Today wasn't that big. Like people kind of know that they're going to probably cut rates in June, not in May or in March. The economy is decent, but it's not the best. Commodities have come down, but this inflation isn't really that, weak where it's like, gas is still 3.25. Houses is still high. People are still upset about that. We have Biden and Trump running for president. What the frick's wrong with that? We couldn't come up with two better candidates. But the market, Goldman came up with a report that I thought was decent, showing how many buybacks we're going to have next year. So bottom line is you have to know your time frame and you have to know what you can handle risk-wise and watch the money flow and be prepared. And if you do that, you can make money. Sometimes you're easier than others. I was in a pretty good flow in the last few weeks. Chillo, who is on my, I'm not gonna, who a month prior was doing better than I was. So everyone, just if you feel like you're a little off, just do something to get yourself centered. And then once you're centered, start to make small steps because small steps lead to firmer ground. And then once you're on firmer ground, you could advance. But if you start to doubt yourself and you start to look into all the things that, and just take a deep breath. It's not easy, and TV, they make it believe like it's easy. Trading for a living is not easy. Investing in the long term is not easy. It's all a process and just roll with the process. And that's what I try and do is just educate you guys all on, hopefully how to use the process to your advantage versus get abused by it.
Okay, Scott, so are you saying everybody out there should find their personal ice barrel?
Yeah, whatever that is. And again, I don't say do a triathlon, just try anything to make you need to rinse and repeat. You got to repeat the day every day, so you have to rinse it off somehow. For me, I rinse it off by going in the sauna for 30 minutes. I go on my ice barrel, listen to some podcasts. I listen to what's happening around the world, and I try and just show everyone that. So this way, maybe they can do a little piece of it. Even with Chase, my son, he had an awesome freshman year, playing varsity basketball. So I show everyone him as 5 years old. So if you're 35 years old and you have a kid that you think is a little talented, introduce them to things early. The earlier you start things, the more you do things down the road. even with like whole life insurance. I put on like people like, oh, whole life insurance, your agent's making so much money. Bottom line is I started whole life insurance when I'm 35, I'm 51. I have a cash value 15 years later. There's a death benefit for my son no matter what. And I gave up $1,600, $1,700 a month for 15 years. It started early. Whatever you do, sacrifice early for later. Sacrifice early for later, and it'll work out for you in the long term for whatever that means to you, and it means something different for everyone.
Okay, I think that is a good note to end on. So, guys, again, go out there this weekend, find your ice barrel, and jump in it every day, and get Scott's free newsletter. Again, this is 100% free. T3live.com/show. It goes out Monday morning at around 9 o'clock, and it'll give you some ideas for what to do to start the week. And Joseph says, Scott, good dad for sure. We agree. Our friend Joseph is in there supporting us.
I'm not looking. All I do is like, people sometimes like, Red Dog, you're very showy, or like, what are you doing? I am just like, I live in Short Hills, and Short Hills is a very affluent area. Probably the bottom, 80% of Short Hills, because a lot of them come from a lot of money and they work for billion-dollar funds. I don't work for billion-dollar fund. I'm the chief strategist here. You guys can do a lot of the things that I do here, whether it's in the market, whether it's, midterm, long-term. As far as like, kids wise, I have one son. I've done 2 Ironman. I've done 10 marathons. Thank goodness he's sporty. Otherwise, I would have sent him back. No, I'm kidding. But I've introduced him to a lot of stuff. So all I'm trying to say is like, take an active part in your community. I'm on the rec commission. I helped build a turf field. I just joined the boosters for lacrosse and basketball. Just give back. Do things that make you happy. It's not all about the dollar sign on how much you make, on who you are, and what type of house you have. It's like, again, in Short Hills, there are guys that have mansions. I am far from that, and I've done 10 times more than half of those people, and it's fine. And I'm just saying in general, like, just do things that build your inner core. Like, everyone has an inner core. And even the ice barrel, like every morning, the whole winter, I had to chisel it a few times, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? I don't do this. I can't accomplish today. I do it. It's a start. So figure out what your start is, and just overcome things that you want to make excuses for. And if you go through the excuses and you do things you should be doing, then it just makes everything so much easier. And that's it. It's all about figuring out like just how to make yourself feel good. And if you could feel good, you could execute with confidence. And if you execute with confidence, the X's and O's are easy to see. And that's it. And if you're thinking, and if you're all like scattered, doesn't matter how prepared you are, because you're cloudy. So let's get rid of those clouds, and it's coming close to springtime. So let's let the sun shine through. And that's how I'm leaving you. I'm done. Mike,
no, Scott, you got to stay on for one more minute, because we have almost 3,000 people on right now, which has never happened before. So you need to, I don't care what's going on in trading. You need to stay on until we hit 3,000. But yeah, so Logo Designer says, who's one of our big fans, says, run from comfort.
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say, test your limits. And you don't always have to like test your limits. Like, my body knows when I'm in the ice barrel and it's less than 32 degrees, my 2 toes definitely like throb and my fingers feel weird. I know it, I feel it. And I'm like, okay, I got to stay in here for 3 minutes, but my toes are throbbing, my fingers, I can't feel them. But I'm like, you know what? This is the goal of the day. And that's probably about 5:50 in the morning. And then I get out and I'm like, all of a sudden everything thaws out and I feel great. My cadence is right there. And it's like, all right, did that, made my bed, went in the ice barrel. Let's deal with our positions. Let's deal with the market. You don't always have, so, but, uncomfortability happens for different people and different thresholds. For me, it's different. Like even last night I was at Nero's in Livingston. Guys like, Red Dog, you going in the barrel tomorrow at 10 o'clock? I'm like, why wouldn't I? They're like, you're out of your mind. You're nuts. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to go to work? You're going to like have cobwebs in your head and you're going to be hungover, or you're going to wash it out and rinse it out? So anyway, it's your perception. Perception is key. And today, I'm telling you, like Nvidia today, I came in with 950, 975 calls. I had lotto calls on, and I was like, all right, I'm going to sell into there, and then I'm going to short some premium, because this is the same kind of situation we had for SMCI that we saw a few weeks ago. and we pretty much threaded the needle pretty well. And anyway, I'm not talking about stocks, but the only way I was able to see it pretty clearly is because I rehearsed it in my head. Even this morning in the sauna, I'm like, what happens if Nvidia goes to 950, 970, 980? I'm going to short maybe the 1010s, maybe the 1020s. I'll watch AMD, I'll watch SMCI. The SPYs, I have yesterday's high, I have the Qs. Maybe if it's a dovish jobs report, IWM goes up, can it hold? XBI has been lagging, and PS, all those things you play out in your head, and the only way you can execute is if you play them out, and then you see them clearly when the market starts to show you what it wants to do. And for today, now the SPYs are now at the lows of the day at 512.18. I'm not going to put it up there. I will say, I do think, and you can call it, you could videotape it and mess with me, that it's March 8th. Today's high in the S&P cash, to me, I think is the high for March and maybe April. I made the same call over the summer. I don't remember if this summer or the last summer, but you know what? I didn't trade it great. I lost money. I called the top, and everyone's like, "Red Dog, you're the smartest guy alive. You called the top of the NASDAQ and this and that." And meanwhile, I was buying dips. I wasn't shorting enough, and I didn't do as well. So making calls is one thing. Executing is another. When you can do them both together is when I feel the most happy. I really did them pretty well the last few weeks, and hopefully I helped all of you that tune into the 630 Club, all of you that are part of the Alpha team, all of you that watch the videos, because I'm just trying to help. And I'm trying to be consistent. I've been doing this since 1997. It's 2024. And I'm pretty, relatable, because again, I don't work for a $10 billion fund worth $100 million. I do pretty well, and I like my life, and I could go watch lacrosse and basketball and coach and be in the rec commission, but I could also make a good living and not worry about too much about whether the heat's coming on and off.
Okay, Scott. So I think that's going to close this out. So we have 3,129 people watching right now. So guys, thank you for joining us. We will be back next week. And if you want to be smart, go to t3live.com/show. Get Scott's free newsletter on Monday morning. Again, it's 100% free. Actionable insights. And that will close us out. Guys, thanks again for joining us. Make sure you're following Scott on Twitter. I'm sure most of you are, but we want to make sure everybody's up to date. And Scott will be live at the 630 Club early on Monday morning. Everybody have an awesome weekend.
Feed the brain, boys and girls, and whatever you call yourselves. But and just listen, control what you can control, and just it's not about fully change. It's just evolve into someone you think you can be, and it takes a little bit of small steps to get there, not giant leaps. Now it's time for me to trade, to trade the close, and we'll see how it goes down. I'll post a few charts. I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in.
All right. Thanks, guys.